Now, as we watch the situation develop, there are still many questions we simply don't have the answer to. What was the point of making this film? Why did it instigate such unrest? And who is behind it? There's also a bunch of questions about the bigger picture here, what these protests mean for the geopolitical picture, and more specifically for the U.S. For a look at the bigger picture, I'm joined by Rima Abu Hamdi, RT Arabic correspondent. Hey there, Rima. So let's start off by talking about, just from the U.S. standpoint, what does this mean for us?
Well, the fact that there is a film out there that is touches upon the life of the Prophet Muhammad, that in itself raises a lot of questions for the Arabs. And before watching it, of course, you're going to see a lot of people criticizing the fact that you have people in the U.S. Producing this film, let alone that this film actually turned out to be very insulting to the Muslims, very insulting to the religion of Islam and to the Prophet. So a lot of the people out there who simply do not know what's going on, they know that there is a film produced in the U.S., so for them, that's insulting. And for them, they see that the U.S. produced this film. They do not know who in particular produced this film. They know that this film came out of the U.S., and therefore they have the U.S. consulates and embassies to take their anger out on. And for them, this is the only way to express their anger at this film. And we have seen this before. This is not the first time that Muslims are outraged at films produced or cartoons depicting their prophet or anything that has to do with their religion. This is not the first time, and whoever made this film knew exactly what to expect, especially that this film comes at this very, very sensitive time in the Arab world.
And we've seen protests before in the U.S. I mean, or against the U.S., I should say. We saw protests when Pastor Terry Jones wanted to burn Qurans. We saw protests when Qurans were actually burned and holy texts were burned in Afghanistan. So we've seen it several times. Why is this film in particular causing not just one country to protest, but this slew of countries to protest?
Well, first of all, because it talks about the Prophet Muhammad. And for them, Muslims are taught to learn to love the Prophet more than they love themselves. So for them, this film talking about their Prophet in a very insulting way is the reason why they want to go out and protest it. And of course, you're going to see this happening in all over the Arab countries, all over the Muslim countries. More so in countries other than other countries. But you're going to see this happening in every single Muslim and Arab countries. They're all going to protest the documentary, the film that is made about their prophet. And regardless of what is in this film, if you ask people on the street now, have they seen this film? Most of them don't even know the name of the film that was produced. A lot of them only know that there is a film talking about their prophet, and this is an insulting film, and they have to protest this. This is a lot of when the cartoonists from Denmark also drew these cartoons of the prophet. A lot of them also started protesting against the Danish consulates. A lot of the times also against Scandinavian consulates and embassies in the Arab world. So this is not. For them, whoever made this film should be punished. And for them, they only have the embassies and the consulates to, again, to take their anger out.
So it seems like to many of them the fact that it's not necessarily the substance, it's the fact that it was made in the first place. So let's talk about the instability in the region. It's obviously sparked up again. Is this instability really that surprising?
I wouldn't say so. I mean, when was stability in the region? There was a facade of stability in the region, and now we just see it unfolding because there is a big event. We've seen it unfolding so many other times before, for other reasons, for different reasons. This time it's for the film. And again, I mean, what's going on in the Arab world, a lot of it has to do with the film, but also a lot of it has to do with you have young men in those Arab countries who've seen what protesting does, and they're still energized. They've done it before for the past 2 years now, and for them, this is, again, a good chance for them to go out, protest on the street. It just happens this time to be against a film that talks about their religion.
And do you think we're going to be expecting more of these anti-American protests? Is this only going to grow?
I don't think it's going to die out anytime soon. Not from what we're seeing. I mean, over the past 2 days, it only grew in numbers and spread out in other countries. Now we've seen the protests in more than a dozen Arab countries. So I don't think this is going to die out anytime soon unless governments in those countries take concrete measures. And at the same time, while maybe they're able to do that, they cannot take those measures at this time because they will be seen and regarded as people who are submitting to the West, submitting to countries that produced films that were insulting about the Prophet. So for them, this is a very tricky situation. While they probably want stability, they probably want the demonstrations to calm down, at the same time, they can only do that much to stop them.
And Rima, I mean, we're starting to see, we saw the protests first build up really in Libya, the country where we really stepped in, backed the rebels, made a point of saying Gaddafi needs to leave power. And that's where the protests started first, really, you could say. So is this a case of you know, U.S. meddling really getting in the way of progress in the region?
Is this the democracy the U.S. expected to see in Libya? I don't think so. I don't think the Libyans expected that themselves. A lot of the people who went out on the streets afterwards, after the killing of the ambassador and the 3 others, after the rocket attacks on the embassy, said that this is not us, this does not represent us. But again, what happens there, the U.S. go there, of funding, arming those groups, this is just an expected result of that. And we've seen voices now in the U.S. A lot of the people that I've talked to from the Arabs and from think tanks say that maybe we should reconsider what we're saying and doing in Syria, because now with what happened in Libya, this is like shooting ourselves in the foot, and we shouldn't be doing that, not at this point when the Arab world is boiling. We also saw what happened in Tunisia, now in Sudan as well. This is not an easy equation for the U.S., but it's also not an easy equation for the Arab world either.
And I think we're going to see a lot more come out of it. Obviously, the U.S. is sending 2 warships into Libya. They've sent 50 Marines that are actually on the ground, which we were not on the ground when the uprising began for the overthrow of Gaddafi. So I think that it's only going to build up, and it's going to be up to us to just watch and see what happens.
A lot of people actually, now I'm following Twitter, Facebook from different parts of the Arab world, and a lot of people are seeing that as a new occupation. A lot of people are saying maybe this is a conspiracy theory, maybe this is not, but a lot of them are saying, listen, we knew this is going to happen. It was only a matter of time before the U.S. has its boots on the ground in Libya and in other places, and they were just looking for a chance, and we just gave it to them.
All right. Rima Abu, the RT Arabic correspondent, I'm so sorry I butchered your name. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you.